A few weeks ago, my brother embarked on a lengthy business trip up north. This wasn't a rare occurrence. He made such trips numerous times throughout the year. Just before this trip, he had tied the knot with Trinity. They'd been an item for about a year prior to that. The girl had him wrapped around her finger, and truth be told, I never had much affection for her. She carried herself like royalty, constantly disapproving and nitpicking. I frequently tried to bring up her less than pleasant demeanor to my brother, but he was spellbound and ignored my words. But that's beside the point. Since my brother was away and really wanted to surprise Trinity with an interesting gift, he asked me for help a week before his departure. Finn gave me a spare key to their apartment, some cash for a bouquet, a box of earrings, and detailed planning instructions. The scheme went like this. The hopeless romantic Finn had conceived the idea of leaving notes scattered around the apartment, creating a sort of treasure hunt. The first note would lead to the second to the third, and so forth. The final note would disclose the location of the ultimate gift, a box containing earrings. I can't say his request thrilled me. After all, it was quite a trek to his place. And once there, I'd have to swiftly arrange everything before Trinity returned from work. I had a packed agenda that evening, but he was my brother, so I agreed. Plus, I imagined myself in his wife's shoes. I'd be over the moon with such a surprise, but even the best-laid plans have their pitfalls. On the appointed day, I first went to the flower shop, and then caught a taxi, overcoming city traffic jams to get to their apartment. I arrived, stepped inside, and began setting everything up. Flowers on the kitchen table, notes on the cabinets, nightstand, and behind the framed pictures on the walls, as well as the box with earrings under the pillow, just like my brother had instructed me. I rang Finn, informed him that everything was ready, shut the door behind me, and headed back home. Only as I approached my place and went to the bathroom to wash my hands did it hit me that I had left my wedding ring in that apartment. Whenever I wash my hands, I always take it off and place it on the sink. So, a couple of hours earlier, right before I was about to set up the surprise, I did the same but forgot to put it back on. Now, with my husband poised to return soon, I'd be fielding some strange questions. I wasn't up for that, so I immediately dialed Trinity's number. No answer. A few more attempts, and I still couldn't reach her. Maybe she was running late at work or out grocery shopping. Oh well, I decided to drive back over. Upon reaching the familiar spot, I tried Trinity's number again. Still no response. Up to the third floor I went, slotting the key into the lock, and suddenly, the door swung open. There stood Trinity, hair a mess, eyes wide, and wrapped in a bathrobe. "What are you doing here?" she practically growled. "Hi, yeah, I accidentally left my ring here. You see, I was setting up a surprise for Finn with all those notes. And while washing my hands, before I could finish, Trinity cut me off sharply. "And what notes are you talking about?" "Sure thing, I'll fetch it right away." "In the bathroom, you mentioned, right?" Without providing further details or ushering me in, Trinity strolled into the bathroom, grabbed the ring, and stretched it out in my direction. At that very moment, I couldn't help but notice the earrings dangling from her ears. Those very earrings Finn had gifted her. I thanked Trinity and swiftly made my way back downstairs. The last thing I wanted was to get into a spat with her, especially given her peculiar mood lately. She's bound to drop some cutting remarks and put a damper on the holiday mood. Oh boy, she does have quite the fiery temperament. It baffled me why she didn't grasp the significance of the notes yet, was already flaunting the earrings. And why was she looking so disheveled? I couldn't shake these thoughts from my mind. Fast forward to the next day, I rang up my brother to see how his beloved reacted to the present. Well, she kind of half-heartedly thanked me for the flowers, and then hurried off somewhere. I never got around to asking her about the earrings, Finn replied, sounding rather disappointed. Deciding it best not to spill the beans about the previous day's odd encounter with Trinity, I made up my mind to investigate the matter myself. A week later, my vacation commenced. taking my husband's car. I resolved to get to the bottom of this from a trusted source. During the afternoon, while my brother's wife was busy at work, I paid a visit to their neighbor, Grandma Emery. She's known me since forever, back when my brother and I, along with our folks, lived in that apartment. In a way, Finn and I had grown up right under Grandma Emery's watchful eye. The old lady welcomed me warmly, inviting me to join her for some tea. I inquired if she had noticed anything peculiar over the past few days. "Daughter, nothing out of the ordinary, but I did spot a new face recently," Grandma Emery responded. "Did someone drop by to visit Trinity?" I inquired, savoring my steaming tea. "Yep, some fellow did. And get this, he showed up solo yesterday. Peeking through the peephole, I saw he was a stranger. But lo and behold, he unlocked the door with a key, not like he was breaking in. He walked in just like it was his own place. About 20 minutes later, in comes Trinity carrying shopping bags. She unlocks the door. And there's this guy waiting for her," said Grandma Emery. "And how did they act with each other?" I probed, suspicion creeping in. "Well, the guy kneels in front of her and offers her a box. She opens it and starts hugging him tight. Then, the door closed. Grandma Emery paused, lost in thought. And I haven't seen Finn for a while. Did they call it quits or something?" "No, Grandma Emery, they didn't split up," I murmured softly. It suddenly all made sense. Evidently, Trinity handed over the keys to this unfamiliar fellow, headed to the store herself, and during her absence, he stumbled upon the notes, swiped the earrings, and presented them as his own gift. What a sly character. And then I returned, only to find Trinity in her robe, looking disheveled. My goodness, how could I break the news to my brother? A phone conversation just won't do. Besides, I know him too well. He would instantly explode, ruining his business trip and jeopardizing his job. So what's the plan? Should we just let Trinity continue parading around like this? After saying goodbye to the neighbor, I headed towards my car. I needed a drive to clear my head. No, I absolutely must have a conversation with Trinity. I won't allow her to trample on my brother's heart in such a despicable manner. Emotions flooded over me, and I felt extremely worried about the entire situation. In the evening, I returned to their apartment. The windows were illuminated, indicating that they were home. Climbing up to the familiar third floor, I rang the doorbell. A tall, unfamiliar, blond man opened the door, flashing a charming smile. He was shirtless, sporting only a pair of shorts. "Hey there," I stammered, unsure of what to even say to him. He was acting like the master of the apartment. Within seconds, Trinity pushed him aside, playfully scolding him and casting her eyes toward me. Gone was the anger that had been in her gaze just moments ago, along with the confidence and scandalousness. All that remained was the awareness that she had been caught, accompanied by her confusion about that revelation. I gazed at her, my anger boiling inside me. "Trinity, how can you not feel ashamed to deceitfully betray Finn like this?" were the only words I managed to utter. Abruptly, her voice quivered with resentment towards her brother. She pressed her lips together, swiftly averting her gaze, and fearfully slammed the door right in my face. "Gotcha." Afterwards, I reached out to Finn. To my surprise, he was overjoyed. "Can you believe it? We wrapped things up here early, and I'll be home in a couple of days," he exclaimed, practically beaming. "Well, that's fantastic," I responded with a tinge of bitterness. However, something seemed off to me. "What's troubling you?" I paused for a moment, uncertain of how to reveal everything to him, but remaining silent was not an option. "Finn, please sit down. Today, I happened to stop by Trinity's place, and well, I caught a glimpse of her lover." "Come on, sis, you must be hallucinating. Perhaps it was just a plumber. The kitchen faucet started leaking right before I left, and I left money for Trinity to pay the professional. I had to handle my own packing," Finn argued. "No, Finn, it wasn't a plumber." My voice quivered. "He actually stumbled upon your earrings earlier and deceitfully passed them off as a gift. If you don't believe me, come and see if she's wearing them. Just don't give her a heads up about your visit. And if she is, ask her where they came from. Then we can discuss it. You always harbored an aversion towards Trinity ever since your initial encounter, when she took a jab at your attire. It's disheartening, sister, to witness such baseless fabrications from you. Finn exclaimed before abruptly ending the call, seemingly offended. Trinity and I never truly connected from the very beginning, not because of her distasteful joke about my appearance, but rather because her true character had become apparent to me. And now, her true colors were being revealed. However, Finn, of course, was unwilling to accept the notion of his wife's infidelity, the first stage of denial. But there was nothing to be done except await his return. As promised, my brother came back to the city 2 days later. Trinity, after our encounter with him, appeared utterly frightened, and to play it safe, sent her fair-haired accomplice back home. Finn arrived with a heavy heart, catching sight of the earrings on his wife's ears. He inquired, asking where such exquisite beauty had come from. Under his scrutiny, she timidly touched the jewelry, her cheeks flushing crimson as she claimed that her mother had gifted them to her. That was the moment she was caught red-handed for the second time. She was never the sharpest tool in the shed. I confided in my brother when he divulged the details of their conversation with Trinity.